I will be covering 3 topics in 5 minutes, so bear with me. So, short metatarsals, the first described as in the first metatarsal by Tagjan, he called it Moton syndrome, and he thought it was the most common, but later on it was found that fourth metatarsal involvement is much more common. It's quite common even in Indian population, described bilateral in 72%. Female preponderance is very high. In spite of that, complaints in Indian population are very minimal because we don't wear shoes, excepting the more affluent communities. So, by definition, if one metatarsal is 5 mm or more proximal to the parabolic arc of the metatarsal heads, then it is considered as short metatarsal. There is an excellent paper on brachymetatarsia which talks a lot about this. They say the deformity is caused by premature arrest of the epiphysis, that is caused by congenital or acquired causes, and they enumerated a lot of causes. A lot of syndromes have this, and then some endocrinopathies and some more dysplasias. And there are some acquired causes like trauma, but we don't know how exactly it has happened, and rare diseases like sickle cell crisis. So those are the etiological factors. So clinically, what does it do? So most commonly it is a cosmetic problem in affluent societies in India. Rarely it may cause deformity, some shoe irritation, whoever is wearing the shoe, and transfer metatarsalgia. Those are the clinical problems. And it may cause secondarily as painful callus formation and shoe irritation because the toe is cocking up, is a cock-up toe deformity. Because the metatarsal ligament, when it gets contracted, it brings the metatarsals together and the toe gets pushed up. May cause hallux valgus because there is no support on the lateral side. And managing part, conservative management, you can always try a wide toe box. For the metatarsalgia, you can try metatarsal bars. And if that fails and if it is still symptomatic, then you can go for surgery. It's most commonly done for the cosmetic reasons, but some of the others feel that it's not the appropriate indication. Transfer metatarsalgia and deformities causing problems with the shoe are the more common indications. And it can be done lengthened in one stage or gradual lengthening. One stage lengthening can be done when you are aiming only for 1 to 1.5 centimeters of lengthening. The problem can be neurovascular if you do it too much. And you put a plate and graft in between the fragments, and it does well. If you are aiming for more than 2 centimeters, you should go for gradual lengthening. And the commonest problem with this will be, apart from the routine problems, is the stiffness of the MTP joints. Almost 40% will have some limitation with the MTP joint, especially if the lengthening is going to be more than 40% of the original length. So coming to the second, hallux varus, the great toe is angled medially. I am not talking about the Indian adults who never complain with this. I am talking about the congenital varus. You may also find short, thick first metatarsal, then you need to think about the bracket epiphysis, and it's commonly associated with preaxial polydactyly. And often you may find a tight medial bind which is pulling it down. So, Farmer has described a successful procedure where he uses either a dorsal or volar flap, which he turns it inside and creates a syndactylization between the first and the second toes to prevent the recurrence of the deformity. Again, the common problem is recurrence of the deformity. And one of the reasons for this recurrence is longitudinal bracket epiphysis. Unless it is identified and addressed, the recurrence is quite common. So you need to excise the diaphyseal portion of the epiphysis without causing any bony bars. And in a Walder child, you may need to do a medial open wedge osteotomy too. Coming to overriding toes, congenital contraction of the dorsomedial soft tissues causes the angulation and may cause subluxation of the MTP joint. Fifth toe is more commonly involved, occasionally third and fourth toes. When third and fourth toes are involved, you need to see whether it is really the one which is going up is contracted or one which is going down, overriding or underriding. You need to identify the correct etiology. So the deformity is adduction at the transverse plane and hyperextension in the sagittal plane and external rotation in the coronal plane. It's a triplanar deformity. So same problems. We need to know the pathology. It is soft tissue retraction at the metatarsalophalangeal joint, dorsomedial subluxation, capsular adhesions at the metatarsal head. You need to correct that to get the full correction, and then short and adductor extensor tendon. So conservative management, and failing which Butler's procedure arthroplasty is a very good option, and various studies have showed good to excellent results. So double rocket handle and incision with long plantar handle at the plantar and lateral skin border. Basically they develop a flap, correct the deformity, correct all the pathology which is involved in that, and then they slide the full thickness flap from lateral to the dorsal aspect of the foot to cover the deficit of the skin created by the correction of the deformity, and anchor the toe on the lateral aspect of the plantar skin. It is so good that it often does not need any K-wire fixation. Thank you very much.